So this fan animation came out showing off the 7 jumping Spider-Man, or attempting to jump a bloodlusted black suit Spider-Man, and I cannot lie, this animation is sexy as hell and you guys need to go ahead and check it out yourselves. After seeing this animation, it got me wondering, what if the version from Brand New Day, which is probably the most hyped up version of the character right now, went up against the version of the 7 by the end of Season 5. And just for fun, we'll include characters like Soldier Boy and Stormfront just so we get the whole picture, as the animation also includes characters such as them. And what's actually funny about this topic is I technically did cover Spider-Man vs. the 7 in a way on Prof's channel, going over the Insomniac version, which if you guys are curious about that topic, be sure to go ahead and check out that video. But obviously we are not going to be talking about him today, we are specifically going to be diving into the MCU version, or Tom Holland. Now allow me to shut my fat mouth and answer the damn question already. Can Spidey solo the 7? To first answer this, let's compare where the boys universe in terms of attack potency scales to and how Peter stacks up against this. Generally, in the boys universe, all soups vary significantly in strength. Like, for example, you or me, if we did a couple of push-ups and sit-ups, could probably be a low tier soup, but I'd say at the bare minimum, most of the 7 should be at least ranging from wall to building level. The reason I say this is because Noir is able to survive an explosion that significantly damaged the building, and weirdly enough, most if not all the members of the 7, with of course the exception of Soldier Boy, Maeve to an extent, and Homelander himself, should scale to Noir to an extent, as characters like Kimiko can hurt him, who Starlight should be relative to, and Starlight as well also gets hurt by the Deep. So generally, the lower tier members should be in that wall to small building level range. As far as characters like Maeve or even Soldier Boy and Homelander to an extent go, I believe they are closer to that city block or town level range. This is due to a younger Homelander surviving a nuclear plant explosion and coming out generally fine. This Homelander should be weaker than the one Maeve ends up combating, and Homelander obviously when he's at his peak and has V1 should be in a league of his own. I would say Maeve scaling to Homelander is definitely not as strong as Soldier Boy scaling to Homelander, however Maeve and Soldier Boy should not be like tiers apart from each other. So I would say maybe at best, Soldier Boy and Maeve are capping at city block or multi-city block. I'd say while the lower tier guys are capped at building level, Maeve after training should be city block alongside with Soldier Boy. Homelander with V1, and while he isn't holding back, should be closer to small town to arguably city level depending on how you argue things. He's not only been stated to level cities in a short time span, which no other character is able to pull off, but seemingly even military grade weapons don't seem to affect him, potentially including nuclear bombs. And it seems to be implied that nuclear bombs were actually tested out on Soldier Boy, who is weaker than Homelander. However, I find this to be unlikely for Homelander's case because he specifically hasn't been experimented on with radioactivity. And we know things like uranium do affect him, so I really doubt that Homelander can just tank a SAR bomb to the face and walk out fine. But generally speaking, I think Homelander would be above, like, let's say the bunker that Stan Edgar was explaining the Gen V kids about, which has been stated to withstand at least 1 kiloton of TNT, meaning Homelander being at least small town level isn't at all ridiculous. I just personally think city level Homelander in the Big 26, especially after seeing his mediocre performance in Season 5, it's generally a hard argument to get by. But even being nice to Homelander and the boys verse in general, saying, you know, to some extent the 7 do scale to Homelander in some way for some reason, I fear Spider-Man is just way too strong even if we are trying to downplay him. Now, starting off, this version of Peter definitely did start off weak, I'm not gonna lie to you, with his best feat at one point being him lifting a goddamn air vent. But since the events of No Way Home, this version of Spider-Man has come a long way, being able to save people like Iron Man against the likes of Cole Obsidian. For reference, this is the same Cole that can physically overwhelm the Bleeding Edge and maul on the Hulkbuster, a stronger version of the Hulkbuster that was able to put down an aggressive Hulk. And this suit of Iron Man should definitely be far stronger than the one in Age of Ultron, who managed to tank a portion of Sokovia's explosion. Based on the size of this explosion, we can infer Iron Man survived well over 1.7 kilotons of TNT, which is small town level. Mind you, this is a significant lowball for Peter, since Peter is scaling to a much stronger version of Iron Man's armor. And I'm not even considering the fact that he got stronger in between the events of No Way Home, or even including his Iron Spider suit, which somehow allowed him to survive strikes from base Thanos. You know, the same guy who casually was crushing a Tesseract with teratons of TNT, the same guy who beat a stronger Hulk and Thor, the same Hulk and Thor that did this and this. with that latter feat coming out to around country level in terms of energy, since Thor is affecting the entire planet. However, I don't think it's genuine to flat out say MCU Spider-Man scales to this, and if this version of Spider-Man is scaling to bleeding edge Iron Man to an extent, he should be vastly superior to the version of him that got amped by 400% back in Avengers 1, which also comes out to around town level. And I will say, in Brand New Day, it does seem like they are going to imply that MCU Spider-Man isn't on that Hulk level yet. And the reason why I say this is because in the recent trailer, which I cannot show due to copyright reasons and, you know, YouTube hating me, Spider-Man's actually shown holding off a Shocker gauntlet. People are saying that it's the brace that Bruce showed off in the trailer as well, but it definitely is not. It's something that Peter's holding over his hand, which indicates to me that Spider-Man needs an item to combat with Hulk's strength. And I don't know, maybe Spider-Man will more so scale to Hulk in terms of power after the mutation stuff happens, but we'll have to see for now. I will say though, convincing me MCU Spider-Man scales to Hulk and Thor to a degree is definitely better than Homelander somehow tanking a nuke. That's all I'm saying. Now, I fear the next category is just a massive stomp in Spidey's favor here. Homelander and A-Train are unironically the only somewhat fast characters in the verse, and A-Train has a top speed of Mach 1 while Homelander caps at Mach 18. Now, A-Train does have a feat in Season 5 that does have calculations to put him at much higher speeds, specifically at Mach 475. This is done by a fellow YouTuber, Comic Book vs. the World. He is a GOAT. You guys definitely should go and check out the video yourself, show him some love, and you can check the link in the description for specifics on the calc.
Future Learn here, editing the audio currently, and I realized that I said the number 495. That's the wrong number, guys. It's 195. It is significantly slower than what I said. I am so sorry. I am an idiot.
With that being said, A-Train and Homelander at best, and giving them the benefit of the doubt, would cap here, while the others would be significantly slower. Like, I'm talking sub Mach 1 kind of slow. And this feat in hindsight is so weird to me, especially considering that this was something never done by anyone else, and then Homelander proceeds to show relativity with the same guy that just perception blitzed him. It really doesn't make sense, and consistently the boys universe isn't portrayed to be all that fast unless you're a speedster, so I cannot sit here and scale the other members of the Seven to Homelander or even A-Train's feats. Now, while the boys universe isn't all that fast, I cannot say the same for Spider-Man, sadly. Not only is bro able to tag Thanos himself, but he's catching hits from the same Cool Obsidian, who's overwhelming one of the strongest Iron Man models, period. He's dodging projectiles as slow as bullets from Mysterio to faster than lightning from Electro, and him scaling to the other Spider-Man to an extent would mean he scales to feats like such as Andrew just backflipping literal lightning and seeing it in slow motion. Baseline, this would put Peter's combat and reaction speed at massively hypersonic plus, or well over 1,000 times the speed of sound in terms of fighting speed. Now, I'm not going to be the first guy to tell you that Peter obviously doesn't travel as fast as this. He's not swinging as fast as lightning, but with spider sense and his acrobatic style, he's able to maneuver things he normally wouldn't be able to in a fight. I'd say Starlight's blast might be able to blind Peter here, but who's to say she won't blind her own teammates in the process? I think another thing that a lot of people need to keep in mind for this scenario is the lack of teamwork overall that the Seven have, or lack in this scenario. The Seven borderline hate each other, guys, and I'm not gonna lie, depending on how many characters you want to add in, if you want to add in the whole damn roster, we might have a civil war situation on our hands. With that being said, Peter would be able to telegraph characters like A-Train, like how even weaker members such as the Deep were able to do. And even if we say for some reason Soldier Boy gets his nuke ability off, this wouldn't work on Spider-Man due to him not having Compound V. And if Soldier Boy does this, it literally takes so long to charge that Peter would be more than able to just get out of the way or swing out of there, and who's to say that this blast wouldn't hit his other teammates and affecting them? And it's not like he can spam fire these blasts either. Once he fires one, he's going to be huffing and puffing, laying there wide open for Spidey to strike. And if Homelander tries using his flight to his advantage, Spider-Man can more than easily just web onto him and then throw him into the ground, similar to what Billy was doing with his tentacles. And overall, due to Spider-Man's webs being very strong and honestly do scale to his stats to a degree, they would just be super annoying for any of the Seven to deal with and would be easy for Spider-Man to pull combos off with as well. Oh, and at the end of the day, if he's backed into a corner, instant kill mode. This version of Spidey has dealt with his fair share of foes as well, from street level vultures to planet threatening titans with no in between. So seeing this fake Justice League will not be something Peter would be caught lacking by due to inexperience. I mean, hey, if this version of the wall crawler isn't bloodlusted like he was in that animation, because I'm not gonna lie, if this version of Spider-Man is bloodlusted, the 7 just instantly die. I'm talking Omni-Man versus Guardians, but worse. But I would actually like to see if this version of Spider-Man had the chance to maybe sit down and talk with Homelander. I don't know, depending at what point Homelander is in his life, I can definitely see Spider-Man getting to him. But, you know, Spider-Man makes a quip about the wrinkles on his face or the white hair falling out of his head, then, you know, Homelander's probably not going to be turning good here. But regardless, there is zero scenario where the 7 genuinely win here. And Spidey does, in fact, solo the 7.